So good afternoon. Second year Bcom computer applications. Second year Bcom computer applications. Fourth semester. Programming in object-oriented programming in C++, and first year BA computer applications. Second sem. First year BA computer applications. Second sem programming in C++, and classes in C++. What are the classes and how to use classes, like that. So structure of a C++ program includes files, class declaration, member function definition, main function program. So this is the structure of a C program. It includes files, header files like iostream.h and others. Next part is declaration of classes declaration, how to create classes by using class statement. Next is member function definitions, means to separate abstract specifications of the interface class definition from the implementation details. Member function definitions. Next, then comes main program. So what is a class? Class, object, classes, objects, methods, constructors and destructors. These are five are the important components of C++ programs. Classes, objects, methods. The next one is constructors and destructors. So a class is a group of objects that share common property and behavior and relationship. In fact, objects are the variables of the type class. After creating class, one can create any number of related objects with that class. Classes are user defined data types and behaves like the built-in types of programming language. So what is a class? A class is a collection of different members or objects. Different members and objects are generally share all the properties and behavior of the relationships. Objects are variables of generally. What are objects? Objects are nothing but they are variables of classes or instances of classes or copy of the classes. So after creation of a class, one can create any number of objects, and all the objects have the same properties or attributes or characteristics of the original class, and they can also have all the properties of that class, and classes are user defined data types and behaves like the built-in types. So this is the simple example. First we declare hash include iostream.h. Next one is class definition. Class, my class 1, private, public, protected. There are three types of access specifiers. They are called as access specifiers. There are three types: private, public and protected. Public means the variables or the data members are accessed from anywhere. Private means they can be private to the class definition only or function definition only, and protected means they are purely private. And public colon void get data. Void get data is a member or a class member as a member function within the class. So cin and cout are basic input output statements or functions in C++. Generally they are defined in iostream.h. So after defining another function, we are using two functions. So in my class 1 class, we are defined two or using or creating two functions. First one is get data. They are called as functions or member functions, or get data and display data. Get data is simply used to accept two variables, to two number data, accept a number, and display data is used to display that number on the screen. So after that we may close the class and we may begin the main function of a C++ program. Main function of a C++ program. After that we may create objects of that class. Objects of that. So what is the class name? Class is my class 1. So we are going to create two objects, A1 and B1. So A1, my class is the original class, and A1 and B1 are the objects, two objects. We may create any number of objects, and here we are using this different member functions of that class. So A1 dot get 1 and B1 dot get data, and again A1 dot display data and B1 dot display data. So this is the simple or sample program using classes, objects, methods. So this is another example of a class example. So class diagram of employees. So this is another example for creating employees class. So class is employee. Data members are name, department, designation, basics. These are data members. Function members are functions. Functions or function members are set, BP means basic pay, total sal, and deductions. So abstraction. What is abstraction? It refers to the act of representing essential features without including the background details or explanation. Encapsulation. What is encapsulation? Means the wrapping up of data and functions that operate on the data into a single unit called class is known as encapsulation. Encapsulation is a way to implement data abstraction. Only relevant details are exposed and the rest are made hidden. Data security. Example, departmental data, ATM cases. So these we explain later. Inheritance is another important feature. So all these are important features and applications of all OOPs or any C++, Java or any OOP languages. Inheritance is another important feature. Inheritance is the capability of the one class of things to inherit properties from other class. So inheritance means we are going to create any number of classes using some parent class or base class. Base class is parent class is generally called as a base class, and parent child or children classes are called as inherited classes. Inherited or child classes. Modularity is another important feature. The act of partitioning a program into individual components, that is into a set of coherent and loosely coupled. So to divide a large program into a smaller applications or modules is called as a modularity. Encapsulation is another important. Encapsulation means data hide or data security purpose. Hiding some members or data is called as a encapsulation. So the wrapping up of data and functions that operate on the data into a single unit called class is known as encapsulation. Encapsulation is a way to implement data abstraction. So these are important features. So this is inheritance, and this is the example of using inheritance. Shape is a class. And this class is base class is a parent class, and circle, rectangle, and others are three child classes are inherited classes having all the properties of shape class. So in the last time also we discussed about this. There are multiple different types of inheritances are there. Different types of inheritances. First one is one-to-one inheritance, single inheritance, and multiple inheritance, and multi-level inheritance, like that. So public, protected, and private inheritance. So what are three types of data access methods? Data access methods are public, private, and protected. All public variables and methods are by default available within the class and all the member within the all the member functions. Protected means private means they can be available to the inside the member function only. Protected means we can protect some data or information without accessing or to avoid access from the other members of the data. Polymorphism or overloading. Poly means multiple, morphism. So overloading means we may use, there are two types of overloadings are there, function overloading and operator overloading. Means we can redefine the meaning of a function or a operator. Means the same operator or a same function can be used for multiple ways, in multiple ways and multiple access methods. Means the same function, for example, say sum a comma b is a simple function in C language, whereas in C++ we can use the same function, same sum function, in variety of ways. Means we can change the number of parameters, we can change the number of arguments, and we can change the order of arguments, and we can change the data type of the arguments, and we can change the return type of the arguments, like that. That type of property is called as overloading. That is function overloading and operator overloading. Means we can change the definition of a function or an operator is called as a operator overloading and function overloading. So it simplifies the programming interface, it permits conversions instead of, so these are the examples. So polymorphism means there are two types of polymorphisms, compile time and runtime. Compile time generally have function overloading and operator overloading are runs, they can be used at compile time, whereas runtime we may use virtual functions. So this is compile time example, and this is function overloading. Function overloading means we may use the same function definition with the number of ways. Means we can change the number of arguments, we may allow to change the return type of a function, like that. So next is constructors and destructors. So what are constructor and what are destructor? A constructor is a special function that is a member of a class and has the same name as that class. So a constructor is nothing but it is also a special function. Constructors and destructors are special functions. They are also a member of a class and has the same name as that class. So constructors have the same name as the original class, And generally constructors are used to initialize the private members or private data members of that class. Means to initialize the private members of the class with some numbers, we may use constructors. So this is a simple example. Destructors. The complement of the constructor is the destructor. There are many reasons why a destructor may be needed. For example, an object may need to deallocate memory that it had previously allocated, or it may need to close a file that it had opened. In C++, it is the destructor that handles deactivation events. The destructor has the same name as the constructor, but it is preceded by a symbol. So what are destructors? Destructors are also special members of the function or class, and generally destructors are having the same name of original class with a tilde symbol, preceded with a tilde symbol. Generally destructors are used to release the memory of the classes and or deallocate the memory that occupies in the memory main memory of a computer. So this is the simple example of using destructor. So what are the important points to be followed while using constructors and destructors? Constructor is automatically named when an object is created. A constructor is named whenever an object is defined or dynamically allocating using the new operator. So a constructor takes the same name as the class name. The programmer cannot declare a constructor as virtual or static, nor can the programmer declare a constructor as constant. No return type is specified for a constructor, not even void. A constructor must be defined in the public. A constructor must be a public member. Overloading of constructors is impossible. Each class can have only one default constructor. So what is a constructor? Constructor is automatically raised and executed when an object is created. Means automatically constructors are also called and executed when an object is created at the time of creation of object. So generally constructors also have the same name as classes, and constructors cannot be used or declared as virtual or static or constant like that. Then and constructors, next point is constructors doesn't have any return type. Means all the constructors should be used without any return type. Means all the constructors have no return type or no void type, and all the constructors are declared with public type only. Means public, with a public definition only we may use the constructor. Overloading of constructor is impossible. Each class can have only one default constructor. So this is the important points regarding the definition of a constructor. Destructors. Some important points about destructors are: destructors take the same name as the class. Like the constructor, destructor must also be defined at the public. The destructor must be a public member. The destructor does not take any argument, which means that destructor cannot be overloaded. No return type is specified for destructors. The use of destructors is especially suitable when an object assigns dynamic memory. A class cannot have more than one destructor, and destructors can be virtual but constructor cannot be. So what are the important points about destructors? So like constructors, the destructor also have the same name with a tilde symbol, and they should be defined with public member, public data type only, and destructors doesn't take any arguments or parameters. Means destructor functions doesn't have any argument values or doesn't have any parameters within it. And destructors cannot return any type as like constructors. So every class have exactly one destructor only. So these are the important points about constructors and destructors. We may take next class.